Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dan Reeses. My hair is a little crazy at the end of the day. How are you? Don't worry, you don't need to answer that. 95% of people that say, how are you, don't actually care how you are. So me saying, how are you, is pretty much the same thing as every time you run into someone and they say, how are you? And you could say, I have cancer. I'd be like, oh man, that must suck. You good, bro? And then you'd say, yeah, I'm great. Other than the cancer, but yeah, I'm great. I'm just kidding. I don't have any cancer. And a good cancer joke is the best way to start tonight's segment. Now, let's read from the good book, also known as Dad Jokes Golf Edition. Let's take a look. Now, for anyone that's wondering why I filmed this channel, what I do with it, what is the purpose of all of it, eventually I'll post my reveal video. But given the circumstances of everything that's going on, I find that the more honest I am, the more of a moron I feel. The truth of the matter is, I look at the media in today's world of things such as Cop Shop, and all you have to do is look at some of the character names and you'll be able to figure it out pretty quickly. And then, I love lemonade, and I love movies. And I think that many of you have me confused with a child because of my youthful disposition on life and my clarity towards complex matters that simply are very easy for me to digest. For example, when you look at the movie like Cop Shop, most of you would not realize that within the context of the movie there are two game theory games. One is the riddle of the 2 centuries, which is presented within the context of Frank Grillo and Gerard Butler being prisoners. And the second, the game within the game, is the prisoner's dilemma, which has the Nash equilibrium in it. And that is presented with the fact that they are literally in 2 prison cells. So, on that note, please understand that your inability to digest or comprehend what I am saying does not make me crazy. What it does do is it makes me far more intelligent than you because I know something that you do not know. If you already know this information, then you won't find me crazy. This is my explanation of the riddle of the 2 centuries. That by the very virtue of you watching this channel, that makes me not crazy. Because what you're doing is either validating the truth, which you already know, or disproving something that you know less about. Which means that by simply watching this channel, I will pick the door number 1 that leads to the best solution. I hope I have been able to explain this in reverse. Ms. Resnick, how did I do?
You did a great job.
Thanks. You see, in order for you to understand how I'm able to do this, you must understand that I completely turn off my consciousness, the part of my brain that makes me really think about every word that comes out of my mouth. And I use a different part of my brain called my subconsciousness, but in reality, I do not know enough about the brain, nor do I convey to be some sort of a mental guru. What I am is just a smart guy that uses the most amount of his brain in recorded history. Other than that, I am exactly like everybody else. So, please, enjoy the joke. What do you call a dinosaur that plays golf, Jamie?
I don't know what.
A Jurassic Park.
There we go.
What do you call a dinosaur that plays a Jurassic Park? Well, I mean, that's why they're
I
dad
love
jokes.
cheesy dad jokes, but now
You know,
it needs a little more weight.
You're my only support.
I like that one.
You know, the memorable ones. That's how you know a good joke.
Exactly.
My dad told me a good joke once. One day, if you're lucky, I'll tell you guys it again. This time it'll be a little different. That being said, speaking of golf, I find myself in a predicament where I do a lot of reflecting since my boys and I are separated, and it's not legal and it's wrong on so many levels, and the only thing I could do is joke about it because what this is it's kidnapping, just utilization of resources that instead of paying for my children's utilities and the liabilities that have accrued from this horrible set of decisions my wife has made, she has chosen to spend hundreds of $1,000s on legal fees rather than paying the bills for our children, therefore giving the judge the ability to create some insanely impossible court orders to abide by, while at the same time encouraging my wife to continue to destroy my businesses. This is absolutely normal. I've grown completely accustomed to it. As a matter of fact, I would find it a Sunday night to be strange where I would not be stressed out about the thousands of dollars that are in limbo, or tens of thousands, the millions of dollars in assets that no one has any idea what Mallory's position in, and the tens of millions of dollars in legal claims that I have that are slowly but surely evaporating as time proceeds without me having access to my office. I hope everyone at this point has recognized that not only am I not a violent person, you are all morons for thinking that a non-violent human being who's 43 years old, who has never been accused of harassment or any violent acts whatsoever ever in his life, would just turn around one day and start committing crime after crime after crime. Like a human crime wave. That was the narrative that my wife was trying to convince everybody. Now that that's over, I don't know what the next round of things that I have to disprove. But essentially, let's just get a few things straight, okay? I'm 43, I'm still heterosexual, although watching Bunny really, for all you Dan Reese's fans out there and Mamoon's fans, you really should check out this new movie called Bunny. Excellent job by the director Ben Jacobson, who was the writer as well, and the lead actor, who's played by Mo Stark. And Mo, in my opinion, stands for either Moshe or Muhammad. Either one are biblical names, so we got some little Jew, not Jew, Like, let's be honest here. When you meet an Arabic man and a Jewish man, the only difference is which guard is pointing their finger at which other guard. The opinion of which religion is good and which religion is bad is the same construct as coming up to two guards in a game theory model. In all actuality, and mathematically speaking, both religions are absolutely identical. They represent 95% identical theologies, the core group of fundamentalists that are at the heart of the violence are the problem, and again, 95% of everybody else that is either Islamic or Jewish has no conflict in this matter whatsoever. But because the 5% make the loudest amount of noise and are the best sensational selling pieces of all great Hollywood dramas, such as why Russians are always the bad guy in every movie, even a boxing movie featuring an American fighter featured a Russian as a bad guy. Russians don't even box. They're not even good at boxing. There are a few amazing Ukrainian boxers out there. Like the Klitschko brothers are great examples. But the real Russian man does not really engage in boxing. You would find wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, martial arts, far more common in the Russian community. But because the movies represent the movies, the smartest man in Hollywood was represented to play a Russian villain. He was not Russian, but he is extremely intelligent. For all of those of you that do not know this, the smartest man in Hollywood is Dolph Lundgren. I know you might find this extremely surprising given his looks, but I, like Dolph Lundgren, suffer from reverse anti-Semitism. I know you might find this extremely confusing because I, as a victim of anti-Semitism, am myself confused of whether or not I should be upset or I should not be upset. Now, obviously it's very hard for me to keep a straight face and film this segment. So you must understand that this lemonade, which has no alcohol in it because I want to vomit when I drink alcohol, and I don't do drugs, so I find myself as a human being who's simply frustrated at the world that doesn't understand that all you have to do is ask a teacher one question and they will never be able to eat lunch ever again. So for example, I filmed a segment about a really great role model of mine earlier named Ira Berger. The part of the story that I didn't tell the audience is that everybody in the Hebrew school was allowed to ask the rabbi one question a couple of weeks before my Judaica, also known as Jure, studies began. And everyone asked a very normal question. Some people didn't write anything at all. Some people, I don't know, tried to make a joke out of it. I think 3 of the dudes in the back tried to string together a sentence by using their one question. So they didn't really understand that the questions didn't come to the rabbi in order. Here we go. So then comes me. And my question was very simple. It wasn't even a big deal, but it obviously got me in a lot of trouble. And I don't even know how, or what, but I remember getting in trouble for it. So I asked, if you kill the devil, do you still go to heaven? And, because of the devil, and I don't know, maybe I might have used a word that wasn't appropriate. But you go to heaven or hell. And the truth of the matter is that paradox cannot be solved by the rules of religion. So if you choose to prescribe to the fundamental aspects of biblical Judaica or Quran or any type of traditional Middle Eastern theology, you could even throw biblical studies and Christian morals into that as well. If you choose to believe in all of that, you cannot also believe in the concept of science and math being the dominant force in the decision-making process of a logical human being. It's just simply not possible. It's the same thing as being half pregnant. It is not possible. The pragmatist inside of every one of us must recognize that unless there is an actual proof that a higher being other than humanity exists, at this time and this juncture in 2026, we must abide by the rules of the actual scripture themselves, that until the world sees a human being that can rise above all else, receive pain on behalf of everyone else, and forgive everyone, well, we simply haven't gotten to the point of the society where we can feel comfortable to make a lifelong business decision, such as a restaurant space, a multi-billion-dollar concept, or thinking about your father while trying to teach your boys a lesson. One of my father's favorite activities, and the only sport that I ever did with my father, was bowling. So before I make a very large decision in my life, I'm going to go bowling tonight and really think, ponder, and pontificate on some of the perils of the decisions that I have made in the past. And because I have removed all the toxins in my life and I'm thinking clear as day, I'm able to make a decision that's for the best, not just for today, but also for the future, including my children and what my needs and wants are as a father. This type of clarity can never be achieved when you're in a toxic and an abusive relationship or an environment. My name is Dan Reeses, and please understand that the whole point of this video is that I'm a boring, creepy dad. I love you boys. Enjoy the ski trip.